अस्सलाम वालेकुम। प्रोग्राम एम्बेसी रोड में खुश आमदीद। नाज़रीन, आज हमारे इस प्रोग्राम में हमारे मेहमान हैं पाकिस्तान में यूएस एड के डायरेक्टर जनाब जेरी पी मिसॉन, और हम उनसे गुफ्तगू करेंगे पाकिस्तान में यूएस एड क्या काम कर रही है। ये इदारा जो है पाकिस्तान में किन शोबों में पाकिस्तान की मदद कर रहा है, कौन से ऐसे मंसूबे हैं जो कि आवाम को फ़ायदा पहुँचा सकते हैं यूएस एड के ज़रिए। यूएस एड पाकिस्तान में एक अरसे से फ़ाल है, काम कर रहा है, और इस इदारे ने पाकिस्तान की माशी, ज़रूरी तरक्की, तालीम, पानी और सेहत के शोबों में बहुत काम किए हैं। हम डायरेक्टर से यही पूछेंगे कि यूएस एड अब फ्यूचर में, मुस्तकबिल में क्या मंसूबे रखता है पाकिस्तान के लिए। Director, thank you very much for joining us in this program.
Well, Mr. Sadiq, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
USAID has been here in Pakistan for quite some time, for decades.
Yes.
So what do you think, what is the most important hallmark of this organization? What have you delivered to the people of Pakistan in the realm of economy?
Well, I think it's important to put the partnership in context. We've been partners for over 70 years. The U.S. was the first country to recognize Pakistan's independence. USA first started providing assistance, it was in terms of bulk commodities. We shipped over wheat, fertilizer, equipment, oil.
Maize even.
Maize, food, medicine. We built large infrastructure like the airports, thermal power plants, different dams like Margala, Tarbela dams, Mangla Dam, the different universities like the Institute of Business Administration in Karachi, Lahore University of Management and Sciences. But over time, that partnership is evolving. Now, when the government of Pakistan is charting its future, its development, it looks to USAID for its technical expertise. We provide world-class, state-of-the-art technical expertise. So when you ask me about its accomplishments, I would say it's our partnership is evolving, and it's a people-to-people exchanges that's really having a lasting impact. And what we do, we provide the technical expertise to help the government of Pakistan improve systems and their own development chart.
In 60s and 70s, USAID was helping out Pakistan in the field of agriculture, and we were able to boost the wheat production, the maize production, and other commodities. So is this cooperation still there, or it has been, or it is not there?
Oh. The agriculture sector is a strong priority for USAID, and as you mentioned, we helped introduce different varieties of wheat. In fact, 20 varieties that were all resistant to the rust, the disease. And we also have been able to bring in high quality, high yield maize seeds. And we've worked with the government of Pakistan to allow the private sector to actually produce and sell high quality agricultural seeds in a variety of crops, cotton, maize. But we're diversifying our support. For example, we've been supporting the livestock sector. We've helped Pakistan increase their milk production by 250% because we brought in really high-yielding cows from America, the Holstein cows. You're probably familiar with the Ben & Jerry's ice cream and the famous black and white cow. That's a Holstein, and they produce high volumes of milk. We've also been helping with Pakistan developing certain crops like in citrus, the kinau. And so last year, we helped Pakistan export to Indonesia over 13,000 tons of kinau, valued at $14 million. And we're doing a lot more in the agriculture sector, and for example, in mangoes. I was very impressed to have the chance to go to a mango gala and hear more about what we're doing with helping the farmers grow high-quality mangoes, but then also export it.
But the mangoes you have mentioned, yes, Pakistan produces world's best mangoes.
Yes.
But their export is a problem. Many Western countries, including the United States of America, have some reservations about the quality and the way it is exported to other countries.
Correct, and that is a major constraint. So what we've been doing is we help the exporters understand the requirements of the different countries for exporting mangoes. And usually it has to do with how they treat the mangoes, the phytosanitary treatment. Sometimes it's a hot wash, sometimes it's irradiation. You have to be able to treat the mangoes, particularly because of the fruit fly, which is a serious pest. But we've been able to help the producers meet these requirements and then actually learn how they can.
You are importing some training program?
Yes, yes. We provide hands-on training, and we also work with associations. So, for example, we work with a number of mango producing associations. So they have the expertise to actually help their producers to export mangoes.
Apart from that, you mentioned that USAID helped Pakistan build its two very important water reservoirs,
Yes.
which also produce electricity,
Yes.
The Tarbela Dam and the Mangla Dam.
Dam, yeah.
So in addition to that, do you plan to build more projects like this in Pakistan?
Right. Well, we have on right now ongoing a large number of hydropower and flood control dams. And so we're committed to completing all those projects. For example, the Golem Zam Dam, the Golden Kul Dam.
Satpara.
Yeah, these dams are actually important not just for hydropower, but also for flood control and then irrigation for farmers. We've been able to expand irrigation to about 530,000 acres.
Yeah, but in addition to that, electricity is also being produced through these projects, you know,
Yes.
the dams. So are you helping Pakistan to produce more electricity? Because electricity, the energy is a problem in Pakistan.
Yeah.
There's a crisis.
Yes.
Although Pakistan government is also taking steps to bridge the gap between demand and supply.
Yes.
But it needs more help. And is USAID ready to do that help, to give that help to Pakistan?
Absolutely. This is one area where we have to give credit to the government of Pakistan. They've really been able to increase the supply, and you don't see load shedding that we used to have even a year ago. What USAID has done is help increase capacity in the system by over 3,040 megawatts, which is enough to benefit 36 million Pakistanis. But most importantly, we're helping the government of Pakistan with integrated energy sector planning, which looks at where should they be investing for energy sources in the future. And one area that USAID funded was a study on wind potential, and particularly in Balochistan. Balochistan has some of the world's best potential for wind. However, the private sector did not want to invest in windmills in Balochistan because they had no way to get the electricity to the grid. So USAID funded transmission lines. So now we have 15 private sector funded projects to produce up to 740 megawatts in Balochistan.
The wind energy.
The wind energy, which is very low cost and sustainable, and that's being connected to the grid.
And what about the solar energy? Because Pakistan is also struggling to produce solar energy from the alternative sources, from the renewable sources.
Yeah. Now you're seeing also Pakistan has very high potential for solar, and you're seeing the opportunity to do more on solar. Actually, houses are starting to put solar panels on their house and then connect it to their own electricity meters. So they actually sometimes they actually earn money from the solar panels.
But is the USAID training people or giving technology to them to build their own solar panels so that they are able to energize their own homes or offices or buildings?
What we do is we're a catalyst. We actually help put in place the policy that allowed for homes to actually use solar panel, and we put in the policies to actually encourage the private sector investment. Then we look at the private sector as the real actor that's out there selling solar panels, because that's how it's sustainable. If the private sector firm can sell you a solar panel and make money at it, and you also benefit, then they can then sell that again to another house, and it becomes sustainable.
Training is also very important in this context, because if the USAID gives training to the people to produce energy from alternative sources, from renewable sources, that would be of great assistance and help.
Yeah. We provide a training in different categories. One of the areas that we're providing training is in how the government negotiates power purchase agreements. And we're using a technique called reverse auction. And what that allows is it gets the government and consumers, whether it's a household or a business, to get the electricity at the lowest cost possible.
Right. There was also an attempt to basically reduce the line losses, because the transmission lines in Pakistan are too outdated, old. So is there any project that you could replace these old transmission lines or reduce the line losses?
Again, what we've done is put in place a policy, help the government think through where the private sector can actually invest in building and operating the transmission line, and they get a fee as the electricity passes through. The other area is you're seeing opportunities for the private sector to invest in different areas for the solar and wind, and these are opportunities for sustainability in the energy sector.
Right. Another issue that is connected with this power projects, particularly the hydropower projects, is the conservation of water, because a lot of water is being wasted in Pakistan. It's not being used. If it is stored, it could be used for irrigation. It could also be used to produce more electricity.
Correct. We've been focusing on some energy efficiency as well as water efficiency techniques. For example, we're helping farmers use solar-powered drip irrigation. So this, again, it uses a very low-cost renewable energy source, solar, but it also helps the farmers use the water resources very effectively.
Right, but is there any project that could be seen on the ground that has been created with the help of USAID here in Punjab or Sindh or anywhere else?
Oh, in Punjab, you can see the solar-powered drip irrigation systems. And going forward, I expect that USAID will invest more in water efficiency. We look at Pakistan in terms of its agricultural potential, tremendous, very important sector. But as you noted, Pakistan is a water insecure country. They have one river with the largest contiguous irrigation system in the world. So there's really an opportunity to try to improve the efficiency of that irrigation system.
The other area that comes to my mind is the education sector. You know, Pakistan also needs a lot of help in that. Pakistan has a population, young population, almost 63% of the total population. So they need to be educated.
Yes.
So what are your projects to give education to the young people of Pakistan?
We focus in three areas in the education sector: basic education, higher education, and workforce development. In basic education, our emphasis is on helping students in grades 1 and 2 read better. And that's important because we want the students to perform better, have the incentive to stay in school longer. Pakistan has 6.7 million students, grade ages 5 to 9, that are out of school. And this is the second highest in the world. So we try to help Pakistan teach their teachers, educate the teachers, in how they can become a better teacher and teach reading. And we do that in a variety of ways. We've built faculties education in 17 universities. We've helped develop curriculum for teachers, and over 100 universities are using it. We've done direct training where we've helped students with teaching and learning materials in different languages, Pashto, Sindhi, and Urdu. But most importantly, I would say it's having the government, like in the provincial level in Sindh and Punjab, they understand the importance of reading, and they allocate more of their own resources. The Economist magazine just came out last week with an article recognizing the very innovative approaches that Pakistan is doing, where the government of Pakistan is contracting with private companies to run schools. And they're doing that both in Punjab and Sindh. And in terms of higher education, the area there we focus on is scholarships, and we have a program where we help identify students who are very qualified but who need financial assistance. And we provided over 18,000 scholarships for Pakistanis to study at 30 universities.
Here in Pakistan?
Here in Pakistan.
Yes. And do you have any specific training institution where the teachers are trained to be a part of this program?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we provided these what we call faculties of education, and these are state-of-the-art classrooms, research labs, facilities for training teachers. And we built 17 of these. And I had the honor to go to Gilgit to inaugurate a faculty of education at the University of Gilgit with the President of Pakistan. And it was a very impressive operation, the huge facility, and very, very good teachers.
So this facility is available in all 4 provinces of Pakistan?
Yes, across the provinces. It's all across Pakistan. 17 universities across Pakistan.
What about the curricula? Are you helping Pakistan or the teaching staff or the people who are developing curricula for the students? You're helping them out?
Yes, we developed the curriculum, which is for teachers. It's for like, how does a university train teachers? And we developed this curriculum, and it's now being used by over 100 universities. not just the 17 where we have fact education.
Great.
So I think one of the important aspects of USAID is we try to look at systems and how do we strengthen the systems, whether it's a healthcare system or an education system, how do we build that capacity for long-term impact?
Thank you, Director. We'll take a short break and then we'll continue this discussion. नाज़रीन एक मुख्तसर ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद हम पाकिस्तान में USAID के डायरेक्टर से गुफ्तगू जारी रखेंगे. USAID कई दहाइयों से पाकिस्तान में है और पाकिस्तान की मुख्तलिफ शोबों में मदद कर रही है. तालीम के शोबे में, बिजली की पैदावार में और ज़राअत के शोबे में USAID ने पाकिस्तान की बेपनाह मदद की है. The other areas, for instance, the health is very important. And one of the ugly sides of our economy is, or the governance is, that we have not been able to provide enough funds for education and health. So we need a lot of help in those areas. So is USAID helping Pakistan in improving the health sector in Pakistan or giving wider coverage of health to the people in Pakistan?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. It's a very important sector. We focus on saving the lives of women and children. That's our priority. And one of the areas we've been effective on is helping the government of Pakistan develop a low-cost, locally produced antibiotic ointment that is used on the umbilical cords of newborn babies. And that's been able to prevent blood poisoning and diseases for the baby. And we've been able to save 144,000 babies each year. And so what we're doing is we're working with provincial governments, particularly Punjab, Sindh, and KP, to help them with their planning and budgeting, so that these provinces allocate more of their own resources for both healthcare and education.
Right, but have you been able to build some facilities like the basic health units or hospitals in Pakistan?
Oh, yes.
And equip them with the necessary equipment so that they are able to help out the patients?
Yes, no, we've built two very large state-of-the-art hospitals in Sindh, one in Karachi and one in Chakrabarti. But also, we've been building basic health clinics across the country. And these are relatively simple facilities, but they're sufficient for the basic healthcare needs. And we've been training healthcare workers in both community outreach and prevention. And then again, what USAID does is looks at the system. So how do we strengthen the healthcare system? How do we help the government allocate proper resources? How do we encourage the proper training? Again, our focus is on saving the lives of mothers and children. And while we've had direct impact, our estimate is we benefited about 9.6 million women and children have been directly benefited. To me, the most important accomplishment is the system. We're actually able to support and strengthen the healthcare system of these different provincials.
Have you conducted any survey in Pakistan in the health sector which could tell you as to what should be done to improve the healthcare in Pakistan?
Yeah, this is a really interesting point because we are practicing what we refer to as adaptive management, and we look at evidence-based decision-making. So we actually do look very closely at what interventions are working or not. And this is how we're able to identify where this very low-cost, locally produced antibiotic ointment is having such a tremendous impact on saving babies' lives. And so based on that kind of analysis, we've been able to expand the use and production of this locally made antibiotic.
Yeah. Another issue is related to health is undernourishment. Babies with stunted growth.
Yes.
And they are not given proper food, and they die because of lack of nourishment. So any plan, any program to improve the nourishment of young people, young babies?
No, you're absolutely correct. This is a very serious challenge. 45% of the children in Pakistan are considered to be stunted, which means they'll never have the potential to fully develop mentally and physically. So USAID is working with the government, the private sector, and other donors on a variety of programs to fortify wheat, edible oil, and milk with different needed nutrients. And then most importantly, we're looking at behavior change. How do we communicate the need for families to provide a more nutritious diet? Some of the studies have shown that families will have milk in the house, milk in the refrigerator, but they'll feed their baby black tea and coffee. And so there's really a lot of it has to do with behavior change. it's a tremendously important opportunity for Pakistan, especially when we refer to the first 1,000 days of a baby's life. That's 9 months of pregnant mother, and then the first 2 years of the baby's life. The baby needs to have the appropriate nutrition.
Right. So any other, ingredient that you add to the baby food so that, they are properly nourished and taken care of?
Again, I think it's a combination of looking at breastfeeding. The mother should be breastfeeding, of course. That's the natural, and that's recommended from the time of birth. Then you look at what's being done worldwide is you fortify your wheat with iron, vitamin B. You can fortify your edible oil. It's also been done. And then the milk. Pakistan is now starting to pasteurize and fortify its milk with vitamin D. So there are many standard procedures that are used worldwide to fortify different foods.
Another area is the water. The clean drinking water is not available to a huge population of Pakistan. The government of Pakistan has been efforting to provide safe, clean drinking water to the people, but they have not been able to do it. And even the Supreme Court of Pakistan has taken a suo motu action in that regard.
I agree. This is something like safe drinking water is something we often take for granted, but most parts of the world, not just Pakistan, many people, millions of people lack access to safe drinking water and sanitation. USAID is working with the government of Pakistan, particularly the provincial level, to look at how can we help the province come up with innovative approaches as well as their own revenue to actually supply safe drinking water.
No, but any projects or any new innovative approach that USAID is introducing in Pakistan so that the people could get or they could have access to safe drinking water?
We are testing different types of technologies for purifying water, and they're looking at low-cost ways to purify water. It's unfortunate that the poor people, they pay a lot for safe drinking water because they pay by bottle, and some of the richer parts of the cities will have water coming on pipes, and they pay very little. It's also important to understand that for it to be sustainable, we need to work within systems where communities are willing to pay a small fee for the service of delivering safe drinking water so that you can maintain that system. So we are looking at technologies where you can treat water to make it safe to drink, and then we're looking at approaches where we can put in place the sustainability for financing water supply systems.
Right, but in this filtration process or, the purifying water, are there affordable technologies available, or you have been able to introduce that kind of technologies here in Pakistan?
That's an ongoing effort. I mean, there's techniques you can use with iodine, there's techniques you can use with filtration. So I think this is one where we need to continue to be working with basically creative Pakistanis who have ideas about how you can develop low-cost ways to treat water so it's safe to drink.
USAID has been here in Pakistan for decades, for almost 7 decades, and you must have learned a lot about Pakistan's development and in the field of agriculture, in the field of education, health, safe drinking water. So what is your new agenda, and what do you want to do in future in Pakistan?
Well, we're going to clearly continue to invest in some of these sectors like energy, agriculture, economic growth, health, and education. There's still opportunities and needs to be more to invest in these areas. But what is going to be our change will be, instead of USAID funding large projects, what we've been asked by the government of Pakistan is the government of Pakistan wants USAID to provide state-of-the-art technical expertise and less on building large infrastructure. An example would be the sector to help put in place international standards for trade and commerce. And I'll give you 3 examples of what we're going to be working on. What's called a national single window, so that for exporters and importers, when they want to export their products, and for mangoes, for example, they'll go to one place where they can get their licenses and permits, and then we're going to put in place an e-payment system. So right now, the business would pay, it would take them 3 days or more to pay for these license or permits. Under electronic payment, they can do it in 3 hours or less, and they can do it from anywhere in the world. And the third area is really important for the agribusiness sector. It's looking at a warehouse receipt financing system where you're using a third-party certification system to go in, document goods in a warehouse, the value of it, and certify that. And then the agribusiness company can then use that certification for collateral to get financing for their operations. We're going to be doing more with micro, small, medium enterprises, sort of like helping them with their financing, entrepreneurship. I would see USAID becoming much more of a catalyst in providing this technical expertise, where in the past we used to fund large infrastructure projects.
So now you are giving the assistance in running the system or making it more efficient.
Yes.
But at the same time, the governance in Pakistan has been a problem for the people of Pakistan. This governance is very poor. It is conceived to be poor. And, you know, what to do, how to improve it? Is there any program or project being contemplated, considered by USAID so that the governance improves at the lowest rung at least?
Well, this, again, it goes out to working with the government, for example, provincial governments, so they do their own planning and budgeting, so they allocate their own resources, and then looking at how those resources can be used for priority development objectives, such as basic health, basic education. Another area that I see USAID investing in is partnerships with the private sector. And we're going to be looking more and more at opportunities for partnership. For example, we did a study that showed that there was this tremendous need for wind, but yet they didn't have a transmission line. So we helped partner with the private sector by building a transmission line. The private sector invested in the power plants to produce electricity from the wind. So we're going to be looking at opportunities where the private sector and USAID can partner together.
Right. But your experience in Pakistan, does it tell you that you need to do something innovative, something so that you and a huge benefit is given to the people at large?
We do look at the point you mentioned, which is scale up. How do we have an impact at scale? We don't want to just do small pilot activities. We want to be able to have activities that can be scaled up. And an example I had earlier, which was how do we help produce these low-cost, locally made antibiotic ointment to save babies' lives? Another one would be we help the government of Pakistan identify livestock diseases and develop vaccines for that. And now those vaccines are produced locally. So you're seeing the government of Pakistan leading the way in identifying the need for these vaccines to protect cattle, sheep, and goat, and then the private sector producing the vaccines, and then you're actually having a sustainable, wide impact.
Thank you. We'll take another short break and we'll continue this discussion. नाज़रीन एक मुख्तसर ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद covered so many areas in Pakistan. But still, you know, Pakistan is growing and evolving and the society is changing and the young people, we have a huge potential of youth in Pakistan. Some people, some experts call it youth bulge.
Yes, yes.
So it's going to be an asset as well as a challenge.
Correct.
For the future of Pakistan. How do you look at this?
You framed it perfectly. With 207 million people, it's a growing population. 60% are under the age of 30. As you say, that's termed the youth bulge, which can be a very important dividend for the country in terms of basically workers generating income if they have the skills and if they're educated and if the jobs are there. So what we do is we look at two parts. One is, where are the jobs going to be created? And we see jobs being created in micro, small, and medium enterprises. So USAID provides this financing. We're working with 4 banks. We've made available $60 million, and these banks have loaned out to 11,000 of these micro, small, and medium enterprises.
SMEs.
SMEs, right? Yes. Correct. And they're getting very high repayment rates. So now you're seeing the banks willing to put more of their own capital into these loans to SMEs. We also want to help students and young people look at vocational skills. And we provide training in 3 different parts of the country. In Punjab, in KP, in Karachi, we have what we refer to as vocational training programs. And so Participants in these programs are learning a variety of vocational skills from high-quality welding to air conditioning to plumbing, electricity, car repair, computers, and for women, they're learning skills like sewing and embroidery. It's very impressive. I had a chance to meet students at a vocational school in Karachi, and I got to hear some of their views of what they want to do with it. And I was very surprised that many of them want to start their own business. And these vocational training programs supported by USAID also include a postgraduate phase where if a student wants to start their own business, they have access to small amounts of capital, some training on entrepreneurship, and some mentoring.
The $60 million that you have shared with these banks
Right.
To provide jobs to these young people, are you monitoring the system and the money that you are investing in these projects is useful, it is being used in a gainful way, or it's going down the drain?
No, we have monitoring in different ways. Our partners have regular monitors. We have staff from USAID to monitor it. And then we also use what we refer to as third-party monitoring. We have several mechanisms that we employ just to go out and look at how USAID projects are being implemented and document it. And if there are problems, we want to learn about it, we want to fix these problems, and we want to actually learn from our experiences. It's important to note that USAID funding is grant, not a loan, so it's an opportunity for us to really be creative and use our assistance in innovative ways.
There is another institution which has been established, the NAVTech. It is another institution which is imparting training to young people in various fields, in various technologies, so that they are able to have good jobs and have employment. So is there any cooperation or collaboration with NAVTech by USAID?
Yes, they participate in one of our vocational training programs.
It's only confined to that.
That's our major focus with them is again, we have a specific program looks at vocational skills, and those are a set of skills where we identify there are job opportunities. For example, if people get skilled, they get training in welding, for example, they often get job opportunities immediately. They have a very high placement rate for certain training skills. For example, air conditioning, welding, they have some of the highest placement rates.
Do you consider, while starting a project, the backwardness, economic backwardness of certain areas in Pakistan, because some areas are comparatively better off?
Correct.
And there are some, like Balochistan, parts of KPK, northern areas, maybe southern Punjab, they are not very well off, and they are not advanced and developed.
Yeah.
So are you giving a special attention to these areas?
Yes, and in those areas, particularly, for example, in Fatah and KP along the Afghan border, we are focusing on livestock production, particularly goats. Because those technologies are pretty much well known. So what we do is we try to improve upon that by giving them better quality breed stock in terms of the goats. They can grow faster, yield more meat, and then also the fodder production. So how do they produce a better feed for these goats, as well as how do they care for them, and then look at the marketing. So you want to look at technologies that are appropriate for a given cultural area. So yes,
you're doing it.
You're doing it. And we're learning from these experiences.
Yeah, but are there any specific projects, for instance, in very, very backward areas, the rural areas in Pakistan, so that, the economic lot of the people of that area is improved? Yeah,
that was what I mentioned, that we're focusing particularly in the Afghan-Pakistan border region, in fact, the KP, and there we're looking at how do we support livelihood development, and some of it is agriculture, but we feel like one of the greatest opportunities would be in livestock, because it's a technology that they can readily use and we can improve upon it, and they can actually generate income. As you know, women in particular can benefit from raising livestock. They consider it a rural bank, and then when they need the money, they can use it for education for their children or other healthcare needs. You earlier mentioned your partnership with the private sector. Can you just elaborate what kind of partnership is it? Is it confined to one or two fields, or it is broad-based? It's broad-based, and we're looking at partnerships as a means, not an end, but we feel like, for example, your question was, how do we achieve impact at scale? and we think the private sector is a way that we can achieve a broader impact and a sustainable way to achieve these impacts. So we have a very much a wide open approach as to the kind of partnerships in terms of what might make sense. For example, we work with the private sector in the agricultural sector, whether it's going to be in dairy production or mango production, and then how can we support and partner with them in a way that will have a greater impact.
You talked about the dairy production earlier also, and you are helping out in that sector, and Pakistan has a huge potential in that.
Yes.
But still, you know, there are newspaper or media stories taking rounds that there is a huge or a massive deficit in that field. I mean, the supply-demand gap, that the milk, particularly in urban areas, there's a big demand for the milk, but the supply is too low.
Correct.
How to meet this gap?
Well, as I mentioned, what we want to focus on is how do we increase the productivity. So by using higher yielding Holstein cows, also bred with local cows. So we're looking at a variety of approaches where you've got Holstein as well as mixed hybrid cows here that also can increase the yield production. And then looking at the supply chain, where you take the milk product, you pasteurize it, you make sure it's safe. So you look at the supply chain from when it comes from the farmer all the way to the processing to the market, and then you think about value added. So if you can start producing cheeses and yogurts and other products, they have a longer shelf life. And one of the challenges we have with the milk is if you don't take care of it well, it has a very short shelf life, and actually it can be contaminated easily.
So have you been able to look at the dairy sector in Pakistan?
Yes.
And are you satisfied that what they are doing is safe from health point of view, and or they need some improvement in that, and USAID can help them out?
We work closely with the governor of Punjab, and there's a very progressive, excellent leader, Captain Mahmood, who's the Secretary of Agriculture in Punjab, and he's very effective in looking at these kinds of approaches. How do you improve the agricultural production, particularly livestock production in Punjab? So he's a leader in looking at how do you increase dairy production and the value chain. Remember, the governor of Punjab passed a law that requires the pasteurizing of their milk. So they've really gotten serious about how do they improve the quality of the dairy products and the whole value chain from the farmer to the market.
Right. USAID, the changing world and the technical world, the technologies, new technologies are now being incorporated into the development of the country. So, for instance, the IT sector is playing a very important role. So do you intend doing something in the IT sector so that the young people are trained in IT as well, and they are able to use that skill to produce more or to be economically more useful?
Yeah. Again, we would do that through partnerships with the private sector. For example, we have one partnership with Cisco, in which Cisco is actually training students in the different computer technologies that they use, and they actually are using it as a way to identify new employees for their own operations. So again, partnering with the private sector, they're very interested in producing high-quality employees.
Director, thank you very much. नाज़रीन, आज के इस प्रोग्राम में आपने पाकिस्तान में USAID के डायरेक्टर जनाब जेरी पी बिसों से गुफ्तगू सुनी उनकी। उन्होंने पाकिस्तान और USAID के ताल्लुकात के ऊपर बड़ी सैर हासिल गुफ्तगू की। उन्होंने बताया किस तरह USAID पाकिस्तान में ज़िंदगी के मुख्तलिफ़ शोबों में मदद कर रहा है गुज़श्ता 70 साल से, और ख़ास तौर पर तालीम के शोबे में, सेहत के शोबे में, डेयरी फार्मिंग में, और नौजवानों को जो कि पाकिस्तान की आबादी का 63% है, उनको मुख्तलिफ़ महारतें देने में, स्किल्स देने में किस तरह की मदद कर रहा है। इसके अलावा सेफ़ वाटर, यानी पानी जो है पीने का महफूज पानी, साफ़ पानी देने के लिए भी USAID पाकिस्तान के लोगों की मदद कर रहा है। पाकिस्तान में उन्होंने अस्पताल भी बनाए और हेल्थ क्लिनिक भी इस्टेब्लिश किए हैं। ये तमाम बातें उन्होंने की हैं। इसी के साथ ये प्रोग्राम ख़त्म होता है। जावेद सिद्दीक को इजाज़त दीजिए। खुदा हाफिज़। Thank you very much, Director. It's a pleasure having you in this program.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.